Why do some people, when it comes to discipline, it's so hard, it's so difficult, it's so heavy, but then for other people, you look at them and they're like, oh, that's seems almost effortless, it's almost automatic. Where's the discrepancy there? Why is that the situation? Why is it difficult for others and not for some?
They stayed consistent. They stayed consistently disciplined.
Okay, that's a good reason. We'll put the reasons over here. So they stayed consistent.
So why do some see more?
Why is discipline easier for some people and harder for others?
I see. I would say environment, like their upbringing. If you was raised in a super disciplined house, you'll continue those qualities.
Interesting.
Whereas if it wasn't the case, you don't know about them.
Interesting. Okay.
And you said, why is discipline harder for some than others? I would say mindset.
Mindset. Interesting.
When your why is your everything on why you gotta make it, you will do whatever it takes to do it or make it happen.
Mindset. What else?
It's hard.
Any other ideas as to why discipline is hard for some
Distractions.
and easy for others?
More discipline or more consistency with distractions instead of.
Or frequency of distractions.
Okay. Any other reasons that we can think of, possibly? Might get in the way? Yes, no, maybe? No? Here's a good reason. And this is one of the main points that I want to talk about. I'll put let's do points right here. Some of the key points I want you guys to think about. So, firstly, discipline breaks. Breaks, what do you mean? Without structure. How can discipline exist? Be sustainable, be durable with no structure. Here's another thought. Discipline isn't supported by emotion. Some people think that they're supposed to feel some kind of way in order to be disciplined, in order to stay disciplined. But that's not the case. The problem is a lack of a system, the lack of the structure. Discipline is like a building. You can only create this building through the discipline on top of a solid foundation. That foundation is called structure. So, here's another thing that I want you guys to think about here. Friction is in the wrong areas. So these are two strong reasons why discipline is easy for some and harder for others. Friction is in the wrong areas. What does that even mean? Any ideas what that could mean?
They're having static in the wrong, like they're having static in the wrong situation, or they're having static in general instead of making the static a frequency that flows.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
They're kind of watering the wrong plant.
Water in the wrong plant. Okay. Like it.
I like that.
Anything
How
else?
we put that?
Any thoughts on your end?
Planting the wrong seeds.
Friction in the wrong
Seeds,
areas. Yeah, well, yeah, basically along the lines of that, like their focus, like they're looking at the smaller picture instead of the bigger, or they're focused on minute things when it's not even that big of a deal.
Okay. Yes. Some excellent answers. Appreciate the contribution. So one thing I want you to think about too, when it comes to friction being in the wrong areas, think about this. People make discipline harder. They add friction to it, while they make distraction easy. They remove the friction from it. What's up?
Sorry, I think I got a better idea where you're coming from. The friction I think you're referring to is the friction that people have in, like, for instance, starting to read my book. Instead of a friction like, man, I have to read a whole chapter, I have to read this whole book. Instead, just reading a page or reading a a word, like you said.
Okay.
They're making it something bigger than what it even is.
Like make the cost less.
Okay.
basically. Reduce
So-
the cost.
Here's the thing too. So we got book, right? Borrow this for a second. Then we got phone. So if we have this here and then we have this here. So based on how we're biologically wired, which one are we likely to pick?
The phone.
Right. So our first instinct, phone. Why?
Because
Quick dopamine.
yeah,
Quick dopamine.
Mhm.
It's highly stimulating.
intelligence. You don't
Yes.
realize you have the same.
Right. It's a natural pull. With this, our brain associates this with a lot of feel good, ease, comfort. But this is boring. This is not stimulating at all. Like the concept of the book, yeah, it's like we know consciously this is impactful. I'm gonna like this. I'm gonna get stuff from this. But then again, the pages aren't really doing anything. It's just words. So yeah, let me do that. This is friction, right? This is how we make it harder. So let's say we have this, can't see that anymore, and then all we have left is this. So there's nothing else, just this. What are we gonna choose now?
That's
The
good.
option.
Of course. So that's what I mean when friction is in the wrong areas. So let's get into the next one.
Can I ask you something really quickly?
Yes, sir.
Kind of double back. I'm not gonna keep doing this. But
Okay.
back to your first point where the discipline breaks without structure. If you could just really like just tie it, like a little mini synopsis about that. But you said something also that was impactful. Whereas you said discipline, something about emotions, like it doesn't run off emotions or
Well, you're not-
feelings.
Yeah.
Was that like you know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about?
So discipline isn't supported by emotions. It's supported by structure. It's not supported by emotions, it's supported by structure. Good? Okay. And then my last main point I want to talk about here, something that you guys can think about and chew on, is this. Consistency is light when, I wonder where I'm going with this. Decisions are removed. What could I mean by that?
Just like putting the phone away and only having the book.
Yes, it's easier to be consistent when we take some things away, but we don't have to decide between two things. One being stimulating, the other not so much. Any other ideas on what this means to you? What thoughts come to your mind when you read? Consistency is light when decisions are removed.
I feel like, well, to tie into a personal story, like going to the gym. Like a lot of times when you initially start going, you have every reason not to go. You have every feeling of, oh, this is irritating. But as you consistently go over time, does that say decisions are removed?
Yes.
Okay, when decisions are removed, exactly. So when you stop making it a choice, but make it a decision, if that makes sense. Like I'm gonna purposely just keep going. Eventually, it won't be that like the cost of going won't be as like it'll reduce the cost. I love that you always bring that up, but yeah.
Okay. So here's one other thing. Thanks for the extra. Oh, did you have any thoughts on that? I don't want to pass you up.
Oh well, actually I did.
Okay, what's up?
My perspective on this is, my brand is about shining bright. So consistency and consistently loving yourself, doing the things that necessarily that you need to do will shine your light, or that what builds the light for you to shine. And obviously, when the decisions
Well,
some of the choices are removed, huh?
So we're talking, just by the way, when I say consistency is light, I mean like light as in lightweight. It's not heavy.
Well, that's what I got from me reading
Yeah.
it though.
Okay, cool. And then what were you
I
gonna say
get
about
what you mean.
decisions?
I mean, the same thing though. I mean, from what you talking about, I mean, it's easy. Like, for instance, start trying to do 100 push-ups. You're gonna maybe do 10 each set. Then you might start doing 20 each set. 30, you'll do 100 straight. And it get easy. Like 50 push-ups, it's easy. But I remember I couldn't even do it's like, that's what
Yeah, for sure. However, what we're talking about here, if it was just consistency is light, then yeah, absolutely. But then we're also talking about when decisions are removed. So, but then where does that kind of fit in? What you were saying?
So
See what I mean?
yeah. When you, I mean, it's easier and it's much easier when the tensions are removed because you don't have any options.
Okay.
Like for instance, like you said, if you have a phone and a book, if you take that phone away or you download an app where you can't use your phone, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna pick up the book. So, I mean, yeah, just like another thing for my personally, not getting up on the mindset of doing no bull, like watching no scrolling, none of that. Instead, doing the thing that I know I need to do, and then it gets easier for me to not just reach for my phone or not just, so.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Here's one other thing I want you guys to chew on here when you think about this. So, more decisions equals more fatigue. And I'll put that to you. More decisions, more fatigue. More decisions, more fatigue. And that ties directly into my first step 1 of the action steps that we have to take here. And I'm not gonna go into them quite yet. I'm gonna save them for a second here. But firstly, I want to also ask you guys, it's like, what are some action steps that we can take starting today, not tomorrow, not next week, but today, to where we can implement them and make discipline a little easier for us instead of it being difficult.
Downloading apps that track your progress.
Okay. So we'll do this. 1, track progress.
I would say limit distractions or
Apps.
remove distractions.
Okay. Limit or remove distractions.
I would also say seek mentorship.
Okay, seek mentorship. Alright, any other ideas? So 3 powerful ones thus far. Let's go for one more.
Okay. So you had, I just action steps.
Just action steps that we can do.
Anyone.
Anyone.
Let's say if you are disciplined already, it's easy for you, it's automatic. And you have somebody that comes to you and says, what do I need to do in order to become disciplined like you? It's so hard for me though. I want to make it easier.
Listen to the inner voice and just do what you know you're supposed to do.
Okay.
And make the hard decision.
Yeah,
Okay.
like that.
Alright, we got listen to inner voice. We'll even say inner discipline voice.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Be careful on which, but nah, yeah, the right one though. Listen.
And then you said, make the tough decisions? Okay. Make the tough decisions. Okay. So, first of all, since you mentioned track progress, I want each of you to talk about just a little bit on what you already gave as far as the action steps. But number 1, you said track progress. Why is that important? Why should that be something that someone does?
Well, it's very, very important because, like I was mentioning earlier with the push-ups, say you track your push-ups. Like, your arms are shaking after you do 10, but maybe in a month, you're doing 50 easily, You track that progress and then you'll realize, like, wait, I'm actually making progress. Like, I remember, like, it go all the time, and this could be used in any scenario, even you at your old self, and you tracking your progress to you becoming your new self. Like, it's all, very.
And I think with that, to
Nice.
piggyback that, when you track your progress, it always becomes realization that you're closer to your goal than where you came from or where you started.
Right.
So it's constantly that, like, all right, well, I might not be where I want to be, but I started way back here.
Yeah.
So the fact that I made this progress to this point is, just proof that, I'm putting in work and I'm progressing.
Exactly. Motivation. Any thoughts? Cool. Exactly. So, number 2, limit/remove distraction. Now, that kind of speaks for itself, but what are your thoughts on that? Why did that jump out to
Simply,
you?
like, that's one of the things you spoke on, and it's important that you remove distractions because, like you said, distractions is just comfort. It's just the feel good moment. So a lot of times everything that's good for you isn't good for you. So with that comfort with those distractions in the moment, it might feel good to, you know, have that dopamine hit and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you have to look at it, like I said, by tracking your progress and realize, like, everything I do in life is this adding or taking away? So when you look at things that you do on a constant basis, whether it's benefiting you or distracting you, is this adding or taking away? So if it's taking away, if it's not benefiting you or elevating you, then you gotta remove it. So
Absolutely. Yeah, so good choice of words for sure.
thank you.
So I would go into, so just for the sake of time, I'm gonna skip these. They're not to skip them as in they're not as important, but I also had you guys already speak, so I wanted you to have the opportunity to talk about what made you say make the tough decisions.
Yeah, making the tough decision, because you know it's, the easy choice is gonna be looking at your phone when you're trying to read a book, obviously.
Right.
And reading that, when you're putting the phone away, is the tough decision, because you want the quick dopamine, and you wanna scroll, and you wanna look at Instagram or whatever, but reading the book, you know, is gonna make you, and it's gonna make you better, and it's gonna get you closer to where you wanna be. And it's just the simple decisions like that that are hard.
Exactly. Yeah, they stack up over time to create evidence for yourself that says, yes, you actually are that person who you said you are. You actually are aligned with that identity that you chose for yourself. You know, I'm the kind of person who reads. I'm the kind of person who's knowledgeable, who's illustrious. So that person has to make those tough decisions to say, do I want to choose the discipline route? Do I want to decide that I'm going to do these things so I can get to that identity and become that person? Or do I do the opposite? Or do I do what I've always been doing? That's the great separator, right? And that is a tough decision. So glad you guys, everybody gave the action steps. Appreciate you. So if you took this list, and forget about what I'm about to say, and you're still gonna make a great impact on your life. And you're gonna look back and say, actually, as you're tracking your progress, like, dang, I'm actually a lot better than I thought I was. So the voice is that one that's not disciplined voice, it lies to me and says, yeah, I'm actually doing a lot worse than I am. But that's not the case.
And whenever, if it's cool with you, afterwards, I would like to speak on 3 and 4. I feel like those are more so important than the one I spoke on, but yeah, I do want you to continue on.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's 1 o'clock right now. Let me get through this real quick, and then I'll give you a quick 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's all I need.
Okay. So, action step number 1 is going to be, it's highly important, because if we don't do action step number 1, then we don't have any direction. We won't have a target. So at this point, number 1, we want to identify where or what is more challenging than necessary. So what is the hardest area of discipline? That's what we want to figure out.
Consistency.
No, that was a rhetorical question, and I know I'm spelling everything wrong. I don't care. But so the just a rhetorical question. So this is something you want to think about when you're on the path of becoming more disciplined, where it's easier for you and not hard. So you want to identify what it is that is the most challenging area when it shouldn't be as challenging as it is. You know, you want to have that. So step number 1 in this, you want to make it to where it's a target, a clear target. So this is what I want you to think about. So if you have to decide every day whether you're going to train, whether you're going to read, whether you're going to knock a certain amount of doors, whatever it is, then you're, just like how we were talking about here, you're creating more decisions for yourself. You're burning through energy before you even get started. So this is why it's important that we identify what it is that's pulling away from us, so now we have a target to attack. So step number 2 in the action steps is going to be remove friction. Remove friction. Remove friction from your discipline. Remove friction from your activities. So at this point, you want to make it easier to do that discipline thing. So we're talking just preparing your clothes before, taking the necessary steps to be that butler that we talked about before, that butler for your future self. So what are the things that I can do to make the future me's life easier? That's what you want to think about when removing your friction. So hiding your phone, just think about things that makes it easier for you. Okay, cool. And let's speed up a little bit here. So number 3 is add friction. Seems kind of counterproductive. Add friction. But not to discipline, but add friction to distraction. This is what I want you to think about when it's Step number 3, when you're on that step and you're having friction, what do I do? So you wanna think about, how can I make distraction annoying? So inconvenient that it's more annoying than it is tempting. That's what you wanna think about. It's just like hiding the phone, like we already know. Hiding the phone, like you were talking about earlier, putting an app in your phone where you can't even use it. So all those things so maybe we go back to number 1. And no, we don't only identify the thing that's the most challenging for us. Maybe we also identify what is the thing that pulls us the easiest. What is the trap that we fall in without effort? So then you have 2 things to attack. So 1, I'm gonna eliminate this thing that makes it easier for me to fall into the trap. And 2, I'm gonna make that thing that I should be doing, that the inner voice says I should be doing, I'm gonna make that a lot easier. Cool, makes sense? Alright, so number 4 is going to be, you wanna lock in 1 non-negotiable. Lock in 1 non-negotiable. So what that means is lock in that one habit, find that one action that every single day at the same time with no adjustments, you decide, not make the choice, you decide what you're gonna do. Let's say at the beginning of the week, I'm gonna be doing this every single day at this time. Every time I wake up, I'm reading X amount of pages. Every time I wake up, I'm doing some meditation, whatever that looks like for you, right? So once you have that one non-negotiable, that's an anchor for your day. And that creates a rhythm for everything else to fall into. That's how Donovan always says, how you do one thing, you do it, how you do everything. So when you have that one non-negotiable, it's easier to build on that. You start creating that structure, you start building a foundation to where you can actually stack some more things on top of that. You prove to yourself that you can handle some discipline. You can do 1 discipline action per day. Because that's all your mind needs, sir. That's all your mind needs. You gave it all kinds of evidence that says you are a distracted person. You gave yourself all kinds of practice to be that person who you no longer are supposed to be. Too many of us, our lives are ruined by old versions of ourselves that have no place in our lives. We fall into those same distractions, those same habits, we hang out with those same people, we stay in those same areas, and then we wonder why nothing ever changes for us. We wonder why discipline is so freaking difficult. But if we start taking some steps to remove the friction after we figure out what it is that's most challenging for us, and then also what is the most tempting for us, right? And then we also add some friction, and we lock in that one non-negotiable, then all of a sudden we'll find that discipline is actually a lot easier than we thought it was. We just gave our brain something that was highly stimulating versus something that's delayed gratification, although it's gonna feel better in the long run. Our brain's like, they're gonna always want to take that comfortable route, that easier path. So when we have those things competing, it's always gonna be an easy choice. What were you gonna say?
And real quick, when people do that and they study keep compounding that negativity or things like that, then they don't really. I never mind. I just let you have it.
That's all good. So
I kind of lost my train of thought.
I get you. But you sparked me into something else. So when someone compounds their way into negativity and they stay on the track of practicing these bad habits, these bad actions, the distraction, avoidance, whatever you want to call it, right? It makes it a lot harder for that person to go to that discipline route because they're combating all kinds of years of constant repetition in this negative way. So for example, it was so difficult for someone like me to stop being that depressing, naturally sad person all the time because all I did was constantly put that into my mind. Constant repetition of how do I become negative? How do I become a depressing person? I was unconsciously learning that and practicing that every day. So years later, as I said, you know what, I'm tired of this, I've had enough, and I started doing something different, I found it discouraging. And it was difficult because I didn't realize. I dug some seriously deep ruts. I dug some highways to depression in my mind. I built them, and I didn't realize it. Of course it's gonna be harder to do something else other than that. If you walked in the same way, in the same direction, on the same plane of grass for long enough, back and forth, then you're going to remove the dirt, the actual grass itself, the grass is gonna die, then it's gonna be dirt, then if you keep going, then you're gonna start getting deeper in the ground, you're gonna dig a rut. As you keep going, eventually your head will no longer be visible, and it keeps going easier and easier to stay in that, and it gets deeper and deeper.
Dig your own grave.
Exactly. Makes it easier for your brain to fire that same signal and fire that same lane, right? That's what I want you to think about. So here's another thing. Discipline doesn't feel powerful when it's emotional. Discipline feels powerful when it's automatic. Discipline does not feel powerful when it's emotional. It feels powerful when it's automatic. And as I come to a close, whenever you guys are done writing, I'm gonna turn the floor over to you, Donovan, and give you a quick little 5 minutes to talk about 3 and number 4 for us, so we can get aligned in there.
So
You said one
discipline
more time?
doesn't feel powerful through emotion or with emotion? Discipline doesn't feel powerful
Emotion, it feels
with
powerful.
emotion?
Yeah, that's cool.
Discipline doesn't feel powerful when it's emotional. It feels powerful when it's automatic.
It feels powerful when it's automatic.
Yes.
It is powerful when it's automatic because now you building that, and you actually answered. You said what I was, or you broke it down on what I was trying to say. Like you constantly doing that, you don't realize it because it's usually your environment. It's usually just surrounding you, so you never pay attention when you start asking yourself these questions like, damn, why am I depressed? Or damn, why? You start saying why. Then when you start getting answers to it, everything start making sense, and you can start building and planting seeds to the life you want to live. So that's
Exactly.
great.
That's when you can move on to step 2 through 4. Once you identify the target. So, but for you, you can go into why you said seek mentorship for us, and then also, that's it. I forgot. You didn't say that.
Well, I didn't say that, but I want to speak on that as well. I'll be super quick. So for starters, with the seek mentorship, one thing I was always told in life is there's no shortcuts in life. But I'm here to tell you that's further from the truth, because the shortcuts in life is mentorship. You know, when you have somebody that, you know, is at that stage where you want to be, and you seek that mentorship of like the things that they had to overcome or the things that's going to come in that way, or how to overcome them, and, you know, taking the battle along with the good, that gives you the opportunity to be more so ahead of the curve. You know, it allows you when things start coming, when these distractions start coming, you already know like what it is, you see it for what it is, and you already have the knowledge and the tools to overcome it. So with seeking mentorship, that is very important, because a lot of times with discipline, like even with this whole office dynamic, a lot of these things are like new information, whereas, okay, this is an easier step-by-step way to be more disciplined. These are step-by-step ways to become successful. In that we needed somebody like a CarMichael to break this down for us, whereas now we have this new sagacity that we can apply for ourselves and teach. So with seeking mentorship, that just makes discipline even more easier to do when you have somebody that's gonna hold you accountable and teach you. And lastly, with the listen to the inner disciplined voice, and this is something that really hit different. I'm so happy whoever said that, is because I realized that everybody truly know what it takes to do. Like, we have all the answers within us. Like you said, we have two consciousness. We have a good conscience, we have a bad conscience. And with every decision we make, they're always going to be together. When you about to do something good in life, that doubt, that anxiousness, that negative conscience will start creeping in your mind. No, you're not built for this. This ain't for you. You can't do that. And vice versa, when you're doing something bad or you about to, throw your life away about something, you have that good conscience where it ain't worth it. So it all depends on who you listen to. When you listen to that inner disciplined voice, because like I said, we all know what we need to do to become millionaires. We all know what we need to do to
Come who we are.
whatever we want in life to happen. We all know what it takes to do it. It all depends on what are you gonna do to make sure it happens, or things of that nature. But that's all I wanted to say. That was just something very impactful that I was happy we put down.
I want to add on some real quick to that too. It's based on like how long you want to wait. It's like, and I was reading this book. I think it's in this book actually. It was talking about how like that inner voice is there, and it's like anybody arguing. Like me, you arguing right now. You either gonna get mad and start yelling harder at me, or you just gonna stop talking. And that's really important with the inner voice. Like some people don't have no inner voice, and it's sad. But this is why it's important for us to listen, cause it's not gonna keep like it will, and it'll start eating you up inside. That's why a sin is you truly going against yourself. It's not necessarily you going. It's you knowing what you need to do and doing the opposite. You gotta live with that. So that's where all these different things come from, like depression and like it's like you have to start. It's important. It's very, very vital to do that because you can lead yourself down, like you said, two paths. Yeah, it's up to you. So, yeah.
Right on. Well, thanks for the extra sagacity, as you folks would say. But as I come to a close here, I want to say thank you for everybody listening, and we're gonna see you. I was gonna say we're gonna see you in the next video, but anyway.
Good, it's your video.
Anyways, but no. So all that's left to do is to take that one small disciplined action that's going to lead you in the right direction. Because as we all know, we should not ever let our knowledge lead to learning. Just be a learned person. We should let our knowledge lead to action.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that one step? You don't have to answer, but what's that one thing you're gonna do today, not tomorrow, before you go to sleep, that's going to push you in the right direction to where you can start to become that person that you are supposed to be.
Right.
Cool. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.